everybody, to yet another episode of Voices of Influence, where we are bringing in leaders and founders and marketers to talk about like kind of the latest in marketing. And today, we're going to be talking about kind of the evolving role of marketing in 2024. We're going to like go through like very many different topics, starting from social selling, personal brand, AI, and the role of marketing, and also like how marketing and go to market is working in the world in 2024 right now. And to talk with us through all of these things is Megan. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. Megan, I'm going to just start off with like asking you about your journey. Just tell me about what was your journey start like in the world of marketing up to when you have joined Evolve right now.
Yeah. So my very first roles in marketing were very analytical. I was a data journalist, and then I moved into an SEO role. And I think that intersection of analytics and creativity helped me grasp the concepts of how to operationalize a marketing team, how to scale a marketing team, how to conduct integrated marketing experiences. So those things kind of pushed me toward the path of leadership, which now, flash forward almost 15 years, I'm VP of marketing at Evolv.ai, which is a company that is focused on revolutionizing the way that businesses do A/B testing or conversion rate
Mm.
optimization. We fully automate the design thinking process and reduce the amount of time needed for manual assessment of your data to choose the next best course of action.
That's exciting. So, Evolve, with the nature of what you just described, seems like a very B2B product. And so the B2B marketing is where you're at right now. Walk me through like what is it like to like how big is the marketing team, how what stage of the company are you in right now?
Yeah, we're Series A, so we're quite lean. We have two full-time folks on the team apart from me, and then a handful of ancillary resources like agencies and contractors and things like that. But we are lean, but we are mighty. I think a lot of early stage startup teams understand that you have to move mountains. Everything has to be faster, better, cheaper, and we're good at problem solving. That's why we put ourselves through it.
I love it. No, that's kind of like one of the next big topic that I wanted to talk to you about, right? Like this whole 2024 or like even like leading up from 2023 seems like a very different era for marketing when it comes to like how lean teams have become and like you have to do more with less. So tell me a little bit more about that part of it, like doing more with less, right? Like two member team seems like a very lean team. So tell me, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, we are all hustlers. That's how it works. No, I mean, I think we all have, survived this period of mass layoffs and budget cuts, and it feels like things are rebounding and stabilizing a little bit more. But I think, if anything, this last year has taught us the importance of alignment.
Mhm.
It's always been critical for marketing and sales teams to be lockstep, as well as product and just leadership in general. But anytime there is a misalignment, folks aren't moving in the same direction, that's where sunken costs come in. That's where abandoned projects come in. And we just can't do that when we're trying to make sure we're scaling and getting things out to the marketplace so that we can differentiate ourselves.
Yeah. No, that's actually very interesting. You mentioned kind of scaling as well. Like, is as the product evolves, like you would imagine the marketing team is also evolving, but like many times this is not happening. Like the other teams are evolving or changing or like growing, and the customer base is growing, but like the marketing team's pretty much like staying still these days. Um, what are some of the reasons why this is happening, and like, are you also seeing some of the same trends?
Yeah, I think that, in part, there's a little bit of paralysis by decision. You know that there's so many channels that you need to have a presence on. And as marketing as a entire industry has evolved, there's so many specialists in different arenas. And so picking the one that maps best to your channels that are performing
Mm.
well and your ICP, I think that's sort of an evolutionary process in its own, understanding
Mm,
what that is, getting the correct data to identify those channels. And those things can be fleeting too, leading up to event, maybe all you need is somebody that can help you orchestrate and coordinate the
right.
event. But then your priorities shift and now you're doing a product launch and there's a
Mm,
different need for that role. And so I think that going back to the alignment and really having a clear understanding of what that primary business goal is, and that that's
mm,
going to stay true for a quarter, 2 quarters, whatever it is, helps you think forward a little bit and not hiring out of an existing fire, but
right.
hiring for the future and what you need to work toward. And even if it's not a full-time hire, I think there's one of the silver linings of the layoffs that have happened over the last year is that there's a huge pool of incredible talent that maybe has shifted their focus to more of a consulting role or freelance
Right.
role, and being able to tap into that different level and caliber of talent, I think is something that's unique and really helpful for startups.
I really like what you mentioned over there, like this whole idea of like not hiring sort of specialists full time, because it becomes like really hard to like stick to one specific thing, because like marketing has become way expansive right now. And you also mentioned this other point about like the pool of talent right now doing consulting and running agencies and everything. So a big part of your role must also be in like finding the right agencies, engaging with them, and like, deciding what you're going to be doing internally versus like what are you going to like outsource to an agency. Tell me more about like how do you make those decisions, or like is that something that is that part of your role as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So something that we're focused on right now is really zeroing in on the channels that mean the most to us. And
Right.
historically, as a lean team with a relatively small budget, we've relied, on paid ads and LinkedIn and Google and tactics like that. But as the algorithms have been changing for those, and it's becoming harder to reclaim your advertising spend on those channels, we're really seeing the importance of social selling, of authenticity, of,
Mm,
you know, top of funnel content isn't converting as much as middle and bottom of funnel of content is. So we need snackable, authentic content. And that's something that we look for more than anything in whoever we're evaluating is, what is your level of creativity? Which is hard to gauge
right.
on an initial call, but we need someone that's more than just a typical B2B writer, someone that excels at using AI. We need someone that can take those things and help us show the authenticity that every single employee of Evolve AI has.
I really like that, and I want to like talk a lot more about like the whole idea of social selling and everything else as well. But I think like some of the things that you mentioned about like agencies and like working with them also like stems from the fact that like this gives you an opportunity to be like, try somebody like for a few months or like for a smaller amount, and then like see whether this works or not. Is there a lot of experimentation that's happening, like, it's like, let's try this if this is working or not, and like, we can cut this short, because it's not like we've hired a person and we have like bought in on this. Is that a flexibility that's working out, or like a lot of experiments happening?
Yeah, I mean, whenever we are making a decision to bring someone on, we really do look at it as wanting them to be an extension of our team. And
Hmm.
so, rapidly switching from one person to the next or one agency to the next isn't always in your best interest, because we're a technical product. There's an on ramping up period. We want to make sure that we're establishing a relationship. But I've been lucky that over the course of my career, I've worked with a handful of agencies that I know can get the job done. And the things that we like to outsource are, usually things like marketing operations or the things that can be done behind the scenes. And I know there's a strong technical acumen for those agencies. Whereas, if someone's helping us with social selling, things like that, we focus on the evergreen components where even if things internally are changing a little bit, that content's still going to be valuable, even if it takes a week or two to produce. I think
Right.
there's just a lot when it comes to understanding the timelines, what an agency can actually bring to the plate, and where the internal team has a stronger skill set in bringing things to light.
That makes a lot of sense. No, that's actually a good point that you mentioned, that like you don't want to treat these as very transactional, and like still build that relationship with these agencies and like treat them as an extension of the team. Really like that. And as a B2B company, I know that like, the sales team plays a significant part. Like if you are sales driven, um, are you as a company, like how does the go to market for Evolve work right now? Is it very sales led, or is it more product led? Or what, how does it work now?
Yeah, at the moment, we're very sales led. However, we are evolving into product led. We're actually just launching a new feature, shameless plug,
Of
called
course.
auto recommendations, which will allow users to get a taste of what Evolve does ahead of a more formal sales cycle, which we're all very much excited about. But I think that kind of maps back to a point that I made earlier, where the importance of alignment is, more prevalent than ever in today's marketing world. Our sales team and marketing team work very closely together. ABM is something that, you know, I think is the buzzword of the year, maybe the last 2 or 3 years. But as we shift into this product led motion, we're still here supporting the team with the outreach for ABM as well.
I like it. So it almost seems like ABM and like sales, it's still sales driven, but like having a product led sort of a primer to like get people through the door is like the strategy that's working out for you folks right now. And that's pretty exciting. I want to shift gears and like talk to you a little bit more about like AI in this world of marketing. I know that like no conversation in this last year or two happens without like the mention of AI, ChatGPT, or so. And marketing is one of those fields that have been significantly impacted by like the presence of AI. How has that changed your world, better or for worse?
I'm at an AI company, so I have to say for better, but I truly believe it is. There's a lot of conversations about how AI might overtake folks' jobs. And I realize that that's very stressful and sensitive in the current marketplace. But I sort of view AI as actually something that could help you keep your job. It really helps with productivity. It makes you more creative, I would argue, and also just makes the hard jobs easier, and
Mm.
gives the outcomes that we're all under pressures from the board members, our leadership teams to achieve. I feel like now is the evolution where we actually have those things at our fingertips, and it's an exciting world for me.
Right. And in terms of doing your job part of it, like how is like from a marketing perspective, how are you leveraging AI at this point in time?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the applications of AI are incredibly vast. There's obviously, the use cases that are sort of what I would say keeping the lights on use cases. If you invest in an expensive piece of content, then
Mm.
using AI to chop that up quickly into, smaller bite-sized snackable things. I think there's the element of operationalizing and scaling, which is very much what Zinc has the power of doing. And you create long form videos, you can create short form videos, podcasts in a single instance. I think that that is incredibly valuable, where maybe we're used to hiring up workers or something of the sort to help chop those things up. Now we can do that a little bit faster. And then I think that there's the more advanced use cases of AI where you're truly growing revenue, which would be the plug for Evolv.ai there.
Of course.
We're making informed decisions about A/B testing and about CX, spending fewer hours on the analysis, being able to reapply knowledge from previous experiments faster, and then showing a tangible business results, from that.
I like it. Yeah. Um, Before I go into like some of the other topics, I'm kind of curious more about Evolve AI over here. Just tell me about like how does Evolve AI solve for its customers this, I mean like how does it use AI to solve the problem for customers?
Yeah, I sort of look at our product in three different ways. The first one is the recommendation engine, which it's in beta now, but we will be releasing to general public later this month. That's the ability to insert a URL for a landing page, a website, whatever experience you want. You put that into the system and it'll return to you a list of optimization ideas with projected revenue impact attached to it. So, for a very basic example, if you put your website in there, maybe the CTA has a human on it and it's looking away from the add to cart button. The optimization might say direct the line of sight to the CTA as sort
Wow.
of an idea or a visual cue to get someone to convert on that button. And then maybe the estimated uplift of that is a 5% conversion lift. It gives you
Wow.
that level of granularity. You're able to choose what KPI you want to optimize against. It'll give you the feedback, and it just continues to get smarter over time as it ingests more of your data, learns more about your user behaviors. The second part of our tool is generative AI. And
Mm.
so it actually helps you build the experiences that were recommended to you. Um,
Mm.
and it's like all of the generative AI tools on the market in the sense that, it is very much a collaboration. You're not going to get the perfect hero image from our machine. I'm not going to lie about that, but
Yeah.
it'll help you kickstart the creativity, get you to a place that you weren't at before. And then if you have a designer and a developer on your team to make some small tweaks, we expect the velocity of that experiment to go out much faster than, historically. And then the third part and the more complicated part of our tool is the continuous optimization, where
Mm.
with all the different versions that you're experimenting against, our AI will mix and match those and find the one that's most likely to convert and serve that
Mm.
to users in real time. And there's an element of segmentation and personalization, and it can get, very complicated from a technology sense, but very simple in the sense that at the end of the day, it gets you more conversions.
Nice. Nice. I really like this. This is almost like uh all these segments of like that early conversions is what you are focusing on right now and leveraging AI to convert that. Um Love that. Yeah. So jumping back and like asking you some questions around like this idea of social selling and personal brand building. I know that like Evolve is like a Series A company. Tell me more about like how you as a marketer, as well as like your founders in your company, leverage the social media presence to like increase top of funnel, but also like increase conversions as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, the mindset that I take is people don't want to be sold to, none
Mhm.
of us do. We want to know that there is a human at the other end of the conversation, and it's not all chatbots, it's not all automated phone calls. There's actually someone behind the engine that is very passionate, has a very strong vision, and can share and collaborate their wisdom with you. And so I look at social selling in that way. It's connecting who has made Evolve what it is with our audience and letting them see under the hood who we are and why we have the passion that nobody else does in the marketplace. Um, we've seen a lot of success with social selling, just in the sense that that conversation is easier to have than just trying to throw white papers and ebooks down someone's throat. Um,
Mhm.
we've started investing some of our paid budget on LinkedIn to personal profiles instead of company profiles. And we've
Mm.
seen on average, 68% higher engagement rates with
Wow.
profiles that have nearly 3% of the followers as our company page. We're
Mm.
also seeing there's lower cost per click on those, there's higher impressions. And so I think that, the data is speaking for itself on that front, but also just anecdotally, people like talking to other people.
Yeah, I mean, I think this humans buying from humans and like, having that. I love that concept that you mentioned because right before brand meant the company's brand, the brand colors of the company and everything. Now brand is the humans behind it, like, and their personal brand that comes with that. And I think, like, obviously, like, from companies like as big as, like, tens of thousands of people kind of companies to, like, say, like, early stage, is this more relevant for early stage startups which don't have like an inherent company brand yet, and so, like, the personal brand of the employees and the founders are probably more relevant? If so, like, how what is the tactical steps that you're taking to, like, leverage this right now?
Yeah, I would say that that's a very valid point. You know, when your brand is sort of making these shifts as the product roadmap is accelerated with certain features, you're pulling back on other features. The messaging hierarchies, the personas, the ICPs, those things are constantly evolving. Whereas thought leadership and point of view on technology in the landscape is more timely yet evergreen. And so I think that it does help you remain agile and still get across your point without worrying about all of the brand speculations. The brand guidelines is everything exactly on brand. It's something that can harness what you're trying to say quickly without formalizing the process. Um, and so I think that's something that's very important. And I think, you know, podcasts and I think just interviewing certain key stakeholders within the organization, turning that into a long form conversation that you can throw into, you know, chat gpt, whatever AI system, and chunking that up into those really digestible nuggets of information go a long way for scaling your content creation, and keep it authentic, which is the
Right.
point.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned about that authenticity part of it, right? Like, um, uh, people who are like founders, and, like, if you are a lean marketing team, like, people are like really busy, so it's like the amount of effort it takes to create authentic content is pretty high as well. So what's sort of your process on this? Is this like something as a company wide? The founders have themselves set the culture where, like, they actually are producing authentic content that they're sharing, or is the marketing team sort of driving this effort where, like, it's trying to, like, get the exec team to, like, leverage this channel? Like, is it a push pull? Like, tell me more about that.
I'd say that it's just a scrappy effort. We record, you know, a lot of our internal conversations as we're going through updates to our pitch deck, as we're reviewing, you know, successful sales calls, as we do retrospectives on events and campaigns. We do a really great job of documenting all of those communications and correspondences, and then those can easily be turned into those point of views. That's usually very copy heavy. One thing that we would like to get better at is more of the video component,
Right.
and that's something slated for our next quarter.
Nice. Awesome. This is pretty exciting. And you mentioned a little bit more about, like, numbers and, like, how much of this is, like, increasing. Is the goal for these for you to, like, increase brand awareness and, like, increase, like, educational purposes, or is it more targeted directly at, like, okay, let's use this for lead generation, like, get people going? Like, how have you, like, set up the ultimate key metrics around this?
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's a blend of both. Lead generation is obviously important for us. But brand awareness, as we're continuing to launch new products, is something that right now we're extremely hyper focused on. And we believe that with strong brand awareness, strong social selling, ability to show authenticity, and now with the introduction of, you know, a PLG strategy, those things will naturally turn into more qualified pieces of content, more qualified leads. Um,
Hmm.
you know, we realize there's so many touch points and channels that are outside of our owned media sphere that people are using to evaluate the tool before they even hit the conversion point on our site getting a demo. And so making sure that those things are very concise and clear with our messaging, you know, that is our ultimate goal. It's not only, okay, what campaign are we going to launch that is going to drive X amount of leads? We have to, of course, have that thought process in our mind to appease the board. Hopefully they don't see this. No. But our goal is to really start at the top with the strategy and make sure that what we're
Right.
doing is clear and authentic, and then that will then result in the success that we're looking for.
Love it. This is great. So, I mean, like from what you've done right now, I'll like sort of wrap up with like one last question as to like, any marketers who are looking at this, what are some opportunities or like sort of great tips that you have that has worked well for you that you would share to others?
Yeah, this might sound extremely basic, but I think it's something that, especially in a lean team that's moving quickly, just don't forget to focus on the strategy. It's easy to
Mm,
get bogged down in tactics and, you know, write 20 blogs and hit that metric of one blog a week or whatever it is. But ultimately, making sure things are connected at the top, that the
mm.
marketing strategy is aligned with the sales strategy, is aligned with the product strategy, and being solid on that before you start on your bill of materials. It really, that momentum makes all the difference in the flywheel effect and really helps you avoid sunken costs.
Love it. No, this is great. Um, Megan, this was a pleasure talking to you and like discussing with you all the topics ranging from like AI and marketing to social selling and personal brand building. I love everything that we discussed today. Appreciate you taking the time to talk to us on our show.
Yeah, thank you again for inviting me. This was fun.
Thank you.